Once Human just had its brand new developer livestream, and they went over a ton of new details. That includes a brand new scenario and some potential new areas and maps. We'll go over all the details of that early access preview. Included in that is the September 24th and 25th update, where I'll break down in detail everything that we're going to be getting with that. Last up, of course, we'll go over some community updates, which do include some things from TGS, as well as a whole bunch more. What's up, world? Dystopia here, back in with another video. Today we're checking out all things Once Human. Okay, so first off here, let's go over the developer live stream. This just happened on the 18th, but there is some additional things to break down there. Then we'll get into the official info that kind of adds some more details and context. So first up here, what is actually coming, the key dates, all that jazz there. They are doing an update launch for September 24th, as I talked about before, and that's going to be around Pacific time. And actually, if we do go off the post-update server opening schedule, that does land us at 12 a.m. UTC, but 5 p.m. Pacific time on September 24th. So that'll be 7 p.m. Central or 8 p.m. Eastern. Again, I'll go over some more details on that with future pre-registrations, as well as the entire schedule in a later section of this video. But the Blood Moon does return bigger and meaner. They are doing a global event for that called the Omen of Affliction that will start on September 28th, where before I did talk about this, there's going to be those sectors to farm Lunar Essence with a 7-week leaderboard. They also did drop a redeem code here, which is 0924VWLR. Again, I'll put it on the screen as well in the description down below, and that's going to give you 1,000 Star Crom. Now, first up here, we do have update 2.1.4. From the dev live stream, though, they gave some additional context here, where they did say there is some new mechanics for the high levels. There's going to be that moon gaze meter that fills up, and the law of the moonlight will steal your identity, where it does become a lunar spawn. You can see some of the footage here that does showcase this. Essentially, something comes up and steals your identity, or essentially that enemy does grab you and turns into one of you, and then you can fight it, or at least you will need to in order to survive. Once you do, then they will disappear into the smoke or cloud. Now, it will also hide randomly. You will need to track and take it down to reclaim it, plus all the hoarded rewards that it will have. If you do fail this event with this, if it beats the player, it will level up, hoarding more loot. Again, it will kind of contain all of your resources there that you have gathered, at least the Lunar Whispers. Even worse, if you don't take it down before the moon ends, that will turn into Shadow Loss, where you will actually get survivability penalties. Also, something cool, there could be a worm-touched variant, and that will turn into an evolution and a harder fight with better rewards. So pretty cool there, it is dynamically playing on each other. As they go over here in the version update infograph, they again do say that there is a Phantom Challenge and that will collaborate across regions to claim rewards. They also do give off some of the preview here for the rewards that you can collect, or if you do participate in the Lunar Revelry activities, you can unlock those. There are some weapon skins, a statue, as well as a few other additions there. Now, in this infograph and the dev stream, they also, of course, talk about the new weapons and gear. So for the new weapons, they show off the SKS Pathfinder, where its hits can spawn frost vortexes, where you're then building up deviation particles to charge fire piercing ice spikes. The P90 here, calling the holographic resonance. Those shots can mark targets with bullseye. Multi-hit actually gets an explosion. Now, upon reloading, that will actually lower the hit requirement for that. The hitting marks will actually also refill the ammo and boost handling and control, but those multi-hits there will then cause the enemy to explode. So it can do a bit of AoE damage. We'll have to see how much, though. The example only showed off one enemy. Of course, with this update, they also did drop some new gear sets. There's the Saver Set Snowdrop Top and the Bloodstained Track Boots. Those can auto-use heal items from your backpack, with Crescent and Moon mods now coming into play. Bonus stats will then scale with the current shield strength. So it looks like they did do a bit of reworking with the Savior set, but we're also getting that Snowdrop Top and the Bloodstained Tracker Boots. Again, I did go over this in my last video, but you'll be able to use both the Lunar mods as well as these new Crescent mods that apply to this Lunar Revelry. So pretty cool there, you can swap in between. Next up here, yes, we finally have details on the new scenario. They're just calling this one Deviation, Survive, Capture, and Preserve. That early access is happening at the same time of the new Lunar Revelry, which is on September 24th. They said the vibe is dreamlike amusement park style maps with varied themes. Again, they did show off a little bit of imagery here with that, what some of those new areas are going to look like. However, they also went into the deviation system, which is getting a major update. Now, there's going to be 13 new morphed deviations. 3 are specifically tuned for the Visional Wheel. So first up here, Atomic did get more resource production. The electric eels had their energy, activity, and cost while working decreased, and the zap cam got a weapon damage buff while in low stance. Now, this deviation stuff does apply to actually all scenarios, so you'll be able to fuse deviations together now. You can capture deviations and then fuse them with other deviations, animals, and even objects. So yes, they do show off an example here, which is literally a pyro dino with a toilet, so you can now fuse those together. And really cool here, these are actual traits that you can combine. They're not just visual, so very awesome there. Again, this is going to apply to all scenarios no matter what you're in, but will also apply to the new deviation scenario, which should open up some wild builds with, yes, silly fusions included. Again, they do mention all scenarios, but I am kind of sort of believing that it might not come to Raid Zone, since they don't consider Raid Zone a scenario, and they do consider that a standalone mode. However, not 100% for sure on that detail there. In the infograph here, they did show off some more of the morphed deviations. They have the Paper Doll, which is beloved, a prototype for the H-37, even an Emerald Digby Boy. Pretty cool here. There's a ton of different combinations you can do. And again, this will apply to that new scenario that's going to go in early access, where there is going to be a new capture method to create a more vibrant deviation environment. And there's the other new deviation team battles where you compete against other metas across the region. They do show off a bit of how you capture the new deviations, which looks like some sort of grenade that you do throw at them now. Now, they didn't show a whole ton of footage of this new scenario, but they do show off a bit of screenshots from those battles. Again, we'll have to wait and see on the 24th. Now, Raid Zone did get some updates here. They did entirely rework the airdrops. So Rosetta airdrops will fly in visuals with clearer math paths. They actually did showcase some footage here on how that new airdrop is going to work. There's more contention around drops now, with a signal flare item that will call an airdrop to a marked spot, so expect PvP pressure with that. Now, Raid Zone is getting the new weapons, the SKS, P90, and also a nail gun. They do showcase off the nail gun as being Raid Zone only, and it looks like the SKS and P90 don't have the attachments to it, so I do believe those guns might actually function differently in Raid Zone. Again, not 100% sure there, but they do show these without the holographic resonance and the Pathfinder. So we'll have to wait and see on that. It might be a bit different in Raid Zone. They did do some additional things here with building and quality of life. So now they have added mirroring, where you're allowed to mirror another piece. So essentially duplicating a portion of a building that you have, you can now mirror it. They've also added new placement snapping with improvements in progress. Target is for next month. They have wall pattern swaps now, so you can change pattern without dismantling. That one is already live though. For the last of the dev stream, we do have the premium content and fair play adjustments. So the new Lightforged loot crate has been shown off, the Remarkable Sovereign, Dream Ward, plus some new reruns. So if you were looking for a previous Lightforged loot crate, those will return and launch on September 28th, which includes the Lightforged loot crate, Freezing Mist, Dreamy Wave, or the Urban Oddities. There's going to be some additional stuff here like login rewards, which has the Star Voyage reward for the bicycle, as well as a Covenant Star Trail. They're also doing that rebate again up to 280%. So pretty cool there. They do detail some other additional cosmetics with that. There was actually one last update here for the scenarios and when they're going to open. And there was actually a name drop here now that I'm noticing for Deviated Scenario, which looks like they're calling it Deviated Secure. The North American times seem to be the same. It is UTC at 12 a.m. September 24th, which is actually 5 p.m. Pacific time, 7 p.m. Central time, 8 p.m. Eastern. Now you should be able to register for this scenario on Monday, which opens up at 8 a.m. The initial server count is going to be 1, but the Deviated Secure one says 4 days. So not exactly sure what they mean there. It looks like in China they're actually opening up 8 Deviated servers. So maybe they mean 4 servers for the Deviated Secure, or that they're going to be testing for 4 days with just the 1 initial server count. Now, last up here for a community mentionable, Once Human is going to be at the Tokyo Game Show, and they do have another booth set up here. The schedule is going to be from September 25th to the 26th, with the public open days the 27th to the 28th. They're going to be in Hall 8, booth 08C03. They do have another cosplay event here where they're showing off 2 additional cosplays. This time it is the male one, so if you want to check those out, you can do so. And they also do have some on-site exclusive prizes. Again, I've actually had most of these in my merch video, aside from what it looks like to be in either magazine or poster. I've had these t-shirts as well as the little squishy, the hat, and even the Mr. Wish. I'll link to that video down below if you want to check it out. Still pretty cool there if you were planning to go to TGS, assuming they're not going to show anything off there because they already have this stuff going out. Overall, that's about covered for today's video. If you enjoyed, like, and subscribe, and until the next one, deuce.